Good morning, Year 5. Welcome to day 2 of our lessons on the London Eye Mystery, Chapter 1 and some of Chapter 2. Before we begin our paired reading today, we're going to look at our Do Now, which is here in front of me. If you have it printed off, then fantastic, you can go and complete it. If not, you can just write down the answer and your explanation in your book. Pause the video here, complete your Do Now, and then come back and we're going to mark it together. Okay, well done. So, first one. Which of the two are you more likely to track? A baby or a table? Okay, so the answer to that one is a baby. And the explanation I'm going to give is, yours doesn't have to be word for word, remember, it can just be quite similar, because a baby moves, table does not move unless someone pushes it, because the baby moves, and to track or tracking means to follow the trail of. Follow the trail of or the movements of something or someone. Of someone or something. Okay, so baby moves, table doesn't. Tracking means to follow the trail or movements of someone or something. So the first one was baby. You need to give your own explanation. Number 2, what topics would your caregiver be most open to discussing? Okay, so caregiver would mean like a parent or a guardian, or sometimes a nanny. Okay, so would they be more open to discussing an earlier bedtime and more chores? Or extra tech time, which means more time on technology and more sweets? I think parents are probably more open to discussing earlier bedtimes and more chores, because discuss means to talk together about something. And maybe your parents are going to talk about tech time and more sweets, but mine wouldn't have been when I was younger. So discuss means to talk together about something. And parents are probably more likely to talk about earlier bedtimes and so on. Okay, and the final one was, which of these two would cause devastation? Flooding or a birthday celebration? Well, flooding is never good. A birthday celebration is normally a time to have a good time. So flooding would cause devastation, but you do need to give a reason. And because devastation means to cause damage or destruction. Okay, there are the three answers. This one is more open to interpretation, and the explanations, they're your own explanations as long as you refer to the meaning of each word and why it applies in that context. Okay, so today we're doing paired reading, so I'll get rid of my do now. Hopefully you've it all ticked or fixed. After we do pair reading, we will go looking at questions where I'll model some, and then you will go and do them yourself. Okay, paired reading, in case you can't remember from before half term, is when I read some of the text and then you also take over and read a portion as well to practice. Like we said, reading aloud and practicing your fluency, practicing your understanding of the text, and practicing self-corrections if you make mistakes. And then when it comes to speech, bringing in some intonation and expression. So it is really important that you do upload videos of yourself reading aloud. I know before the half term it was more up to you, whereas now it's really, really important that we do hear your voices reading. So another task is that you must upload a video of your reading. It only has to be 1 minute, it doesn't have to be any longer. Okay, a 1 minute will do. Just pick an extract, pick a paragraph, read aloud so we can see how you're doing at home. Right, so I'm going to start and you will follow along and then take over when I tell you to. Chapter 1. A giant bicycle wheel in the sky. My favourite thing to do in London is to fly the eye. On a clear day, you can see for 25 miles in all directions because you were in the largest observation wheel ever built. You were sealed into one of the 32 capsules with the strangers who were next to you in the queue. And when they close the doors, the sound of the city is cut off. You begin to rise. The capsules are made of glass and steel and are hung from the rim of the wheel. As the wheel turns, the capsules use the force of gravity to stay upright. It takes 32 minutes to go a full circle. From the top of the ride, Kat says London looks like a toy town, and the cars on the roads below look like abacus beads, going left and right and stopping and starting. I think London looks like London, and the cars like cars, only smaller. The best thing to do, sorry, I've made a mistake, so I'm now going to self-correct myself, okay? And this is something you should be doing as well when you start reading aloud. The best thing to see from up there is the River Thames. You can see how it loops and curves. But when you're on the ground, you think it is straight. The next best thing to look at is the spokes and metallic hawsers on the eye itself. You are looking at the only cantilevered structure of its kind on Earth. It is designed like a giant bicycle wheel in the sky, supported by a massive A-frame. Okay, so you're going to read the next paragraph. You're going to read from "It is interesting to watch" all the way down to "smooth and slow." Okay, pause the video here and continue reading aloud. Okay, great work. And then your capsule goes lower, and you are sad because you do not want the ride to end. You would like to go around one more time, but it's not allowed. So you get out feeling like an astronaut coming down from space, a little lighter than you were. We took Salim to the eye because he'd never been up before. A stranger came up to us in the queue, offering us a free ticket. We took it and gave it to him. We shouldn't have done this, but we did. He went up on his own at 11:32 on the 24th of May, and was due to come down at 12:02 the same day. He turned and waved to Kat and me as he boarded, but you couldn't see his face, just his shadow. They sealed him in with 20 other people whom he didn't know. Kat and I tracked Salim's capsule as it made its orbit. When it reached its highest point, we both said "now" at the same time, and Kat laughed and I joined in. Okay, so now you're going to join in, and you're going to read from here down to sleeves. Okay, pause the video here and continue on reading. Okay, well done. My turn. Then the capsule landed. The doors opened and the passengers came out in twos and threes. They walked off in different directions. Their faces were smiling. Their paths probably never crossed again. But Salim wasn't among them. We waited for the next capsule and the next and the one after that. He still didn't appear. Somewhere, somehow, in the 30 minutes of riding the eye, in his sealed capsule, he had vanished off the face of the earth. This is how having a funny brain that runs on a different operating system from other people's helped me to figure out what had happened. Okay, that set the scene, and now we move on to chapter 2. You're going to read chapter 2, you're going to read the name of the chapter, and you're going to go all the way down to almost the end of page 5. Okay, so take your time here, add your intonation and expression, practice your fluency. Pause the video, and off you go. Okay, well done. So I'm going to continue. The morning Aunt Gloria's letter came was the same as any other. I heard the post drop as usual on the doormat. I was on Shreddy number 3, and the radio forecast was saying it was set fair, but with the risk of showers in the southeast. Kat was eating toast standing up, wriggling. It wasn't that she had fleas, although that's what it looked like. She was listening to her weirdo music on headphones, which meant she wouldn't hear the weather. I wouldn't wear a raincoat or bring her umbrella to school, which meant that she wouldn't get wet, and I wouldn't, and this was good. Dad was hopping around in one sock, complaining about how the washing machine had eaten all his socks, and he was late. Mom was looking through the laundry bag for a spare. "Ted, get the post," Mom said. She's in her nurse's uniform, and even I know that when her words come out short and sharp like that, you do what she asks, even though I hate leaving my shreddies turned to mush. I came back with 6 envelopes. Kat saw me and snatched them off me and picked out a big brown envelope and a small white one. I could see her school emblem on the white one. It looked like a squashed up X and over it a bishop's hat, which is called a meter. Kat tried to hide it behind the big brown envelope, but Mom saw her. Okay, now we're coming into some speech. So at this point, I want you to practice your intonation and expression as you add value to the character as they talk. Okay, you're just going to read a small bit here from not so fast down to nodding. Okay, pause the video here and continue. I ate Shreddies numbers 7 through 17. Dad started humming the theme of the tune of Laurel and Hardy, his favourite thing to watch on TV. He'd got the other sock on and was buttering toast, and his hair stood on end. And Mom would have said he looked the spit of Stan. The spit is a way to say exactly like, but don't ask me why. Anyway, Stan has brown hair, and Dad's hair is fair, like mine, so he doesn't look exactly like Stan at all. Fair hair is kind of a blondie colour. Katrina, Mom bellowed. The 18 Shreddy fell off my spoon. What? This letter from your school. What letter from my school? This letter, the one you tried to hide. What about it? It says you were missing last week, without a sick note, last Tuesday. Oh, yeah. Well? Well, what? Where were you? She was AWOL, Mom, I suggested. Kat and Mom stared at me. AWOL, like in the army, I explained. Absent without leave. Get stuffed, you creep, Kat hissed. She went out and slammed the door after her. The radio program switched back to the news. Turn that thing off, Ted, Mom said. I fiddled with the knob, but she pulled the plug out of the socket instead. There was silence. I heard Dad munching on some toast. She's going off the rails, Ben, Mom said to Dad. Off the rails, I repeated, thinking of train accidents. I suppose Mom was saying something about Katrina being AWOL. Maybe off the rails was another way of saying skiving, which means not going to school when you should. But I didn't dare check, not with Mom in that mood. Okay, you're going to read here some more speech, so add some intonation, and just read down as far as barracks. You've quite a bit to do here. Take your time, pause the video as long as it needs, and then unpause when you're ready to continue. Okay, and I'll read the last bit. Mum's lips went up a bit. Okay, love, later. I should explain here that Dad is not a terrorist who goes around blowing up the places where soldiers live. He is a demolition expert. Okay, and we will read on in your briefings. So, you have read aloud as part of the paired reading. Pick an extract from the text now and record yourself reading that extract. 1 minute is enough just to hear yourself reading aloud and then upload it to Seesaw. So the things from reading you will be uploading to Seesaw will be your do now, your reading video, and then your questions in a moment. So pause the video here, go and pick an extract from the text. You have the PDF in your home learning, or you have it printed out. It's there for you. Pick an extract to read aloud, record it, and upload it, please. Okay, so we're going to have a look at the questions now. So today we're going to be looking at true or false. We're going to be looking at find a copy, and then we're going to be looking at some comprehension questions. Now I'm going to model true or false and find a copy for you, one at a time. So I will do one true or false, then you will go and do the remaining true or false questions, and you will not move on to find a copy until you've seen the model of it. So, the first one, true or false, Salim was meant to come down from the eye at 12:02. Page 3. Right, Salim was meant to come down from the eye at 12:02. Let's have a look. 12:02, come down from the eye. That is the key information. Page 3 is a massive clue. I'm not going to go off memory and think I know the answer. I'm going to go in and have a look in my text. So I'm going to get off page 3 here. So I can see the statement in front of me. Salim was meant to come down from the eye at 12:02. We shouldn't have done this, but we did, so I'm just skimming and scanning here. He went up on his own at 11:32, the 24th of May, and was due to come down at 12:02 on the same day. He turned and waved to Kat and me as he boarded, but you couldn't see his face, just his shadow. Okay, I found the words here. Let's see if they match here. He was due to come down at 12:02 on the same day. Salim was meant to come down from the eye at 12:02. He was due to come down at 12:02. Yes, I've gone to the text. I've gone to page 3. I've seen what the keywords were here. I referred back to them. I read around the words, And I realized that yes, that is true. I'm not going off memory from what I read. I am checking that what I'm doing is correct. Okay, so you're going to do numbers 2, 3, 4 of the true or false questions. Then you're going to stop and you're going to come back and mark them with me before you move on to find and copy. No one should be doing find and copy or the questions now. You are just doing 3 true or false questions and then you're unpausing the video to check your work. So pause the video here, sorry, and then unpause when you're ready to mark. Okay, let's have a look at the answers. So, as they came back down from the capsule was facing northwest towards the automatic camera. That was false. Number 3, there are 31 capsules that make up the London Eye. That is also false. Number 4, the weather was set fair with a chance of showers. That is true. Okay, so well done if you got all 4 correct. Make sure you tick or fix. And then we're going to have a look at the find and copy questions. Again, I'm going to do the first one for you, and you're going to do the remaining 3. So, find and copy the phrase that tells us the eye travelled in a circular path. Page 3. Okay, I'm looking for a phrase. Oops, I'm not looking for a phrase. There's a mistake on the sheet. I'm going to fix it now. I'm looking for a word that tells us that I travel in a circular path. So I'm looking for a word, my apologies, one word, that the eye travelled in a circular path. So travelled, circular path, and page 3 will really help me. So I'm going to get out my text, I have my question in front of me, and I have page 3 in front of me. Again, I'm just going to skim and scan. So let's have a look. We shouldn't have done this, but we did. He went up at 11:32, was due to come down at 12:02. He turned and waved to Kat as he boarded, but you couldn't see his face, just his shadow. They sealed him in with 20 other people whom we didn't know. Okay, nothing here to tell me it's going around in a circle because it hasn't started yet. Kat and I tracked Salim's capsule as it's made its orbit. Ooh, what does orbit mean? So the capsule has started moving and it's going in an orbit. Now, I did say yesterday that orbit refers back to our unit on Earth and space when something goes around in a circle. So I think the answer must be orbit. So let's find a copy of the word. So just write in one word. And it was orbit. So there's my answer for that one. We'll have a look at the rest of them in a moment. You have 1, 2, 3 more find and copy questions to do. Be careful if it's a phrase or a word that it asks for. You may go on and continue with the 6 comprehension questions, and then there's an extension as well. What do you think happened to Salim? Okay, Ted and Kat can't find him. Where do you think he is? What do you think might have happened to him? So pause the video here, finish the find and copy questions, complete the comprehension questions, and complete the extension. Then unpause the video when you're ready to mark and upload to Seesaw. Okay, good work. Let's have a look. So, the second find and copy one. Find and copy the phrase that tells us Aunt Gloria didn't intend to upset people. And the phrase was, she didn't do it on purpose. Number 3. Find and copy the word on page 3 that suggests Salim entered the London Eye. Boarded. Remember, board means to enter something or enter a moving vehicle. Look at page 6 and find and copy the phrase that suggests that Mom was in a bad mood. Her words came out short and sharp. Okay, there was more evidence on other pages, but on page 6, that was the phrase that suggested she was not in a good mood. Okay, let's have a look at the comprehension questions. Number 1, how did Kat and Ted know they had been tracking the same capsule? Well, they both yelled now at the same time. Number 2, what nickname does Dad give Auntie Glo? On page 5, Hurricane Gloria. Okay, so that's a literal question. Number 3, why does Dad give her this nickname? Okay, as a why question, you needed to start it with because, and the answer was because she leaves a trail of destruction in her wake. Number 4, What cereal was Ted eating through chapter 2? He was eating Shreddies. He kept referring to the Shreddies. Okay, I think I've made a mistake here. Actually, I'm going to correct it. The trail of devastation, sorry. Okay, number 5. What simile, remember simile is a comparison, it's figurative language, does the author use to describe the feeling you get from riding the eye on page 2? So you get out feeling like an astronaut. Okay, he says you feel like an astronaut. And number 6, why does Cat describe London as being like a toy town? It's a why question again, and the answer was because the cars below look like abacus beads. Okay, well done if you got all those correct. You have 3 things to upload to Seesaw. You have these questions, which are all self-marked. You have your do now, which should be self-marked, and you have a 1-minute reading video of you reading aloud. 3 things to upload. Your teachers will be keeping an eye on those things, so please make sure you've done them. Thank you for your time today and reading aloud with me. Tomorrow we'll do some choral reading. We'll read most of the text aloud, and then on Thursday we'll move on to our big question. So have a lovely Tuesday, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.